Hello, this is Dr. Michael. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I passed the ICO Visual Sciences examination in less than 6 months. I decided to make this video because I have noticed that there are very few videos about this topic on YouTube, so I think this video would help ophthalmologists that have to go through this path. And to do so, I'm going to introduce what is the ICO, and then I will talk about the ICO examinations in general before sharing with you the study materials that I have used to prepare for the examination. And then I will talk about the schedule, my schedule during the 6 months of exam preparation. And during the examination, I will explain what you have to expect and what they would give you, and what you are allowed to bring in the exam room, and also how you would answer the questions on the answer paper that they would give you. And before concluding, I will make a little bit of little remarks for this particular examination. So the ICO stands for International Council of Ophthalmology. It's an international organization that represents and serves professional ophthalmologists or of professional associations of ophthalmologists, and it is composed of more than 180 national, regional, and subspecialty member societies all around the world. And the ICO provides international examinations that are for the highest standard of knowledge for the practice of ophthalmology. The examinations are intended to demonstrate a level of knowledge needed for a trainee to apply what they learn in the clinic. And to give you an idea of how important those examinations are, back in last year in 2019, over 6,500 examinations were taken in 137 test centers in 83 countries. So there are basically 4 examinations provided by the ICO. The first examinations are the standard examinations, which are subdivided in 3 parts. Part A, which is also called Visual Sciences, and which is covered in this video. And in order to take the Part B, you have to pass the Part A. And Part B is called Optics, Refraction, and Instruments. And in order to take Part C, you also have to pass the 2 previous parts. And Part C is called Clinical Ophthalmology. And then the 4th exam is called Advanced Examination. If you need more information about those examinations, you can visit the ICO official website, but in this particular video I'm going to cover only the part A of standard examination. So the part A or Visual Sciences examination is generally required to enter a residency program, and it consists of 120 multiple choice questions or MCQs, and you have to answer those questions in 3 hours during the exam. Now let's talk about the study materials that I have used to prepare for the exam. First of them is this book called DI Basic Sciences in Practice 4th edition by John V. Forrester. This book is particularly important for the ICO exam because it covers most of the topics that are asked during the exam, so make sure you get this book. And you have the BCSC or Basic and Clinical Science course, section 5, which talks about neuro-ophthalmology, and the book was written by the American Academy of Ophthalmology. So for the neuroanatomy part, you would need this book. And don't waste your time reading the book entirely, just focus on the first chapter that is about neuroanatomy. That's all you need. The other chapters are not needed for the ICO exam. And for medical statistics, you would need Medical Statistics Made Easy 3rd edition by Michael Harris. This is a small book and it is very easy to read, so make sure you have this one. It would get you familiar with the statistics terminologies and how you would use the different formulas and so on for in statistics. And if you have more time to study, I would recommend you to also read Medical Statistics, a textbook for the Health Sciences 5th edition by Michael J. Campbell. But don't waste your time reading entirely the book because it's a little bit long, so it would take a little more time to read. Just focus on the particular topics that you find difficult to understand in Medical Statistics Made Easy. And next you have World Report on Vision by the World Health Organization. This book would update you with the new prevalence and incidence of the most common eye conditions like presbyopia, cataracts, myopia, or diabetic retinopathy and trachoma and so on. So make sure you read this one. And the next book is also very important for the ICO examination. It's called MCQs for FRC Opt and ICO Basic Sciences Examinations by Samer Trika. This book is particularly important because it covers most of the high-yield questions that are asked in the ICO examination. So make sure you get that one and practice all the questions in the book, but be aware that there are some mistakes in the book, but they are very easy to correct, so you would correct them yourself easily, but be aware that those mistakes exist in the book. And if you have more time to study, you can also practice the questions in the book called Review Questions in Ophthalmology 3rd edition by Hannett C. Chern. But you only have to focus on the chapters about anatomy and neuro-ophthalmology and also pathology. But the rest of the book is not relevant for the ICO Visual Sciences examination, so don't waste your time practicing all the questions. Just practice the questions for the relevant topics for this particular examination. About my schedule, I started my study by reading anatomy, and it took me 17 days. then 17 more days for embryology, and I also spent 17 days for only neuroanatomy because this particular topic is slightly tricky, so I needed to make sure I mastered the topic. And then for epidemiology and statistics, I spent 3 weeks, 22 days. I wanted to spend more time studying for this topic because I was not very familiar with some statistics terminologies, so I spent a little bit more time studying for it. Then there is physiology of vision and the visual system. I spent 10 days studying this topic. You can find it in PI by John Forrester. For vision, ocular physiology, biochemistry, and cell biology, I also spent 17 days, 21 days for pharmacology, 10 days for genetics, and 17 days for pathology and microbiology. And for the MCQs, to practice the questions, I spent the 7 last days before the examination practicing all the questions in the MCQ books. And in total, it took me 155 days to prepare for the examination. It's less than 6 months. It's it's a little bit more than 5 months. So if you want to practice more questions, you would have enough time if you prepare for it for 6 months. And what you have to expect during the exam. In the exam room, you will be given an answer paper on which you will answer the questions, and then they will give you a question book. And the things that you need to bring with you during the exam are a high quality eraser, and make sure it's a high quality eraser because you have to erase properly the wrong answer on the answer paper. In case you would want to change your answer, erase very properly the wrong answer before changing your answer, because otherwise if you give 2 answers for one question, you would be given 0 point, and the answer paper will be scanned by the machine, so make sure you erase properly the wrong answer before changing your answer. And of course you would need a pencil. Don't use a pen, only a pencil, in order to be able to erase your wrong answer if you want to change the answer. And make sure that you have a sharpener. For the obvious reason, you may need it for your pencil. And also don't forget to check your identity before starting to answer the questions on the answer paper. Make sure it's your name on the answer paper, and check that your name is correctly spelled on the paper. So how to answer the questions during the exam? Firstly, what I would recommend you is to mark your answers in the question book, and then when you are sure about your answer, you can transfer them to the answer paper. And use only a horizontal clear line with a pencil. Don't use a pen, and make sure it's exactly a horizontal line, since it will be, once again, it will be scanned by a machine, so make sure it's a horizontal line. And I will show you on the next slide how you would do that. And remember that you only have 1 minute and 30 seconds for each question. So don't waste your time guessing the right answer more than 1.5 minutes. Keep an eye on your watch and move on the next question if you can answer the answer within the 1.5 minutes. Just make your best guess and mark the question uh, if you want to go back to it later if you have time, but don't waste more than 1.5 minutes for each question. Otherwise, you won't be able to finish all the questions within the 3 hours. So how to mark your answer on the answer paper using a pencil? On the answer paper, they would give you the 4 choices: A, B, C, and D for each question. Like on the video. So use your pencil to draw a horizontal line like this. For example, in this case, the choice C is the right answer. So you will have to draw a horizontal line like this, and make sure the horizontal line touches the 2 brackets like that. And make sure you read carefully the instructions for candidates booklet, which is shown on the right side of the screen. Read entirely the booklet before starting to study for the exam, because you will need to study according to the topics listed in the booklet. They will give you a little more details about the topics that are asked in the exam in that booklet. And you have to focus only on those topics instead of reading the textbooks exhaustively. So don't waste your time reading chapters that are not relevant for this particular examination. Just read and study for the topics that are relevant, that are listed in this booklet, and don't waste your time for the other chapters for each textbook you read. In summary, the ICO Visual Sciences examination is generally required to enter a residency program, and make sure you use the right study materials no matter how confident you feel about the exam. Don't waste your time studying anything else. Make sure you read the booklet properly, entirely. And remember that most of the topics are covered by BI Basic Sciences in Practice 4th edition by John V. Forrester. So make sure you have this one and read it entirely, including the topics about immunology, because if you read in the instructions for candidates booklet, you would notice that they also ask little questions about immunology. So make sure you read also immunology in this book. And most of the high-yield questions are covered by MCQs for FRC OFT and ICO Basic Sciences examinations by Samer Trika. So make sure you have this one also. and practice all the questions in this book, because all the high yield questions are in this book, and this book alone can make you pass the exam if you practice all of them. And make sure you also read the additional informations in the answers when you read the answer for each question, even if you answered correctly the questions, and make sure you read the answers entirely, because you will have additional information that you would need. And also be aware that there are some mistakes in the book, but they are easy to figure out, so you would be able to correct them yourself. And also for epidemiology, the numbers about the prevalence of the common eye conditions in this MCQ book are not relevant anymore. Make sure you read the World Report on Vision by the World Health Organization to update your knowledge about the statistics about the common eye conditions. And some questions will be tricky no matter how hard you have studied, so don't panic and don't waste your time figuring out what's the best answer for a question. Don't waste more than 1.5 minutes for each question. If you don't know what's the right answer, just make your best guess and move on the next question. And if you have a little more time, you can go back to those questions, but keep an eye on your watch, but don't waste too much time guessing the right answer for each question. So thank you for watching this video, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. And good luck for your ICO Visual Sciences examination.